We've had the most devastating news. The male of this pair that we've known since April 2017 was killed on the road. We have such a network here now that when someone's dog brought it in off the road a couple of kilometres from here, I immediately got a text saying there's this beautiful bird and it's dead. The next night there was an owl round there as well. We think it was the female looking for its mate. Maybe the last time that she heard it calling. So we've got two youngsters here, fully dependent on their food from their parents. Yeah, I spent a number of days just worrying about it. And I decided to try an intervention. So this is just after sunset, and we're setting ourselves up to observe the nest into the night. It's difficult studying these owls. There are so many ways in which they make things difficult for us, which is the fun. But one of the beauties is that they can be predictable. We can focus on this nest hole, set the camera going, and capture that activity. You don't often get that situation with birds. They're always moving around. The female's expected to come out of the nest tonight because she's incubating. She's going to come up onto the rim. She'll look around any time now, and then she'll fly off. And not long after, well, we should hear a screech from the male. Oh, there she is. This all started back in 2017 when Steve Castan, a birding mate of mine, heard screeches downstream from Margaret River. He thought it might be a barn owl, and I thought maybe even a fox, because I just didn't expect masked owls here. I'd only ever seen one before, so it was extraordinary to find them bicycling distance from my house. They are just enigmatic. You find out a little bit and they do something contradictory. There's mysteries upon mysteries, and just this one species is where my passion lies. Gradually building up information that nobody else has ever had. One of our contacts has filmed a masked owl in their garden on the outskirts of Nannup, and this is the nearest river with the big old trees that we know they need to nest in. So I'm hoping tonight that we can actually find where that masked owl's based. It's a wonderful spot. It's just right up high. The river's meandering down below. The perfect spot to see if we can call in a masked owl. I've come to love just being out at night. You've got the place to yourself. It's somewhere that a lot of people are scared of, I guess, but I just somehow relate. I relate to the trees as much as anything. By moonlight and by torchlight, there's something special. But really, I'm a little boy at heart. I'm just out there for the chase. So I'm playing back calls of masked owls, a whole variety of calls that I've recorded. Play it for 5 minutes. With any luck tonight, a bird will cackle or screech and then come in. I have a pretty good feeling of just that shifting from twilight into total dark. And at the point where it can fly in and I don't see it, that's about the time that you'll have the masked owls waking up. If one comes in, more likely to come into one of these trees, which are beautifully situated. And I'll need to stand back in case a bird is calling at a distance. Oh, there's a possum. This is something to be used judiciously because I've disturbed it. It could be that they're responding to an intruder, to a potential mate. It's one of the things we don't really know. They can fly in just quietly and you just get this feeling. Up there. Look. Gee, I wish I could film them as they fly. So beautiful as it comes in the light. One of the things about playback, it doesn't tell you a lot. What we now know is that a bird is in this vicinity tonight. We don't know where it lives, whether it's breeding, but it's a spot on the map, and that distribution map is a real eye-opener. When we first heard masked owls screeching in the night, we thought, well, they're going to need big hollows, ancient trees, and we'd find them in a place like this. This beautiful ancient tree's got hollows all over it, about masked owl size. Just the place where I'd expect a masked owl to be nesting, and our first thinking was that they'd also need the hollows to roost. But we were only half right. Eventually, we tracked that first male down and found it was roosting here, in foliage. So this is a creek line with this extraordinarily dense peppermint, and he has his roost in various spots along here, and it takes some finding. The pallet's really what we're after. That's the leftover bones and fur they cough up after eating. It can tell us what prey they're feeding on. I can find some, oh well, here we are, here's some whitewash. It's been around here some nights recently. There, look, it's another clue. Soft little downy feather. They make no noise when they're in flight, these birds. Just that one little dot tells me definitely our masked owl. Oh, okay, I've got it. It breaks its face up so that it doesn't look like a predator. Great camouflage, it just looks like a branch going down through the middle of the face. Extraordinary. He'll fly out at dusk, down the track, cross the river, check on his mate, and then go out to hunt food for her. Together they'll have young, hungry masked owl chicks with any luck. So this is another spot to look for whitewash and pallets. These overhead limbs are just the place where the mouse owl likes to come from its roost to sit on a perch. They're pretty clumsy. It'll defecate and drop its pallet before it starts its night's adventures. Oh, the jackpot. A whole lot of fresh whitewash. And here's a pallet. That's one for the bag. Add to a collection of about 500. There's a little tacker at primary school. My brothers and I were walking home from Sunday school and found an injured Tawny Frogmouth. And finding out how to look after that, a local birdo took us under her wing. From then on, I was not only intrigued by birds, but night birds were special. So just pulling this apart, quite a small pallet. So that is the tiny little jaw of a house mouse. You will have popped that mouse down just like you or I would eat a lolly. I'll get my reference collection out and check all this in due course. There's another head. Yeah, I think the reason that they have these pallets is an efficiency thing. You can cough this up and just take the goodness down. A surprising range of birds do this. Magpies, for instance, cough up pallets, currawongs, all of the raptors. And yeah, it's one of those things that's enabled birds to reduce down the weight of what they're carrying around and take to the air. So this is where we eventually found the first southwest masked owl's nest. We knew the male was roosting in the peppermint, and we'd watch him head across the river to one of these stag marries. But it took us 2 seasons, and even when we knew which tree it was in, we couldn't find the hollow. We'd stake this place out at night and know somebody had come in, but we just didn't know where they were disappearing to. It wasn't until the chicks appeared at the edge of that lip that we realised there was a hole in behind, which is actually the entrance to the nest hole. We've now got a handful of masked owl nest sites under observation, and my colleague Simon Cherryman was able to climb these trees and get inside them. And what we found out is just mind-boggling.
While it looks very squashed here, it's actually not too bad. Going right down into the guts of this amazing carry tree. There's a beautiful open nest chamber, so I'm going to measure and collect some prey data.
These trees are hundreds of years old, and when they're lost to bushfire, to logging, they're simply irreplaceable.
The circumference is about 3.5 metres.
This is the automatic sound recording unit. It will keep recording what calls are happening here after we leave tonight. And those calls can be analysed. If there are chicks in there as well, the sound recorder will pick up little chirpings. And then we've got that whole period ahead of us for perhaps the next 3 months. It's a very active time. I'll become nocturnal for that time, I think. So here we go, opening up what we recorded last night. That little bit there, let's have a listen to it. That's the chuckle of one of the owls coming into the nest. Yep, the male's gone out to hunt again. And that's his departing screech. That's a chuckle. There's another one. That's a parent coming in. Okay, and look at that. That's begging by a chick at the entrance to the nest. Getting more frantic. Getting the food right now. That's the first indication that we've got chicks that are coming up to the entrance of the nest in anticipation of getting food. It's very late in the summer, the latest I've known for chicks to still be in the nest. I'm expecting them out any time now, and it may be before last light, because they've never viewed the world before. They'll bob around a lot and use their hearing to try and just locate themselves, and they'll move at any sound and just explore a world that's beyond the insides of that. Here they are, small male masked owl. And I think if we retreat now and just watch and see what happens. We have chicks. We've got a little family about to explore the world. We're using red light for all of this observation. I don't believe they actually see red light. In fact, they don't have cones. They've opted for rods, which are much the better for picking up the light. The ears are offset vertically, and their eyes are offset vertically. So the brain's getting information from what they're hearing with what they're seeing. The male is the older. He's been peering out of little hidey holes, waiting for the parents to come in and have first go at the food. And that's his sister. As a female, she's just so much bigger. But you can see she's got a lot more fluff on her underside. She'll be a number of days younger. When they do their first flights, we say they've fledged. They'll find a roost away from the nest hole. It's pretty manky now. But they'll come back within this vicinity to feed for months. At this stage, they're really vulnerable to foxes. But perhaps an even bigger risk is the food that these youngsters are exposed to. Every mouse or rat that the parents bring in, or they catch themselves, could well be the death of them. This is Yornitj, the spirit shape changer of the Wardandi people. Wardandi elder Uncle Wayne Webb has actually recognised Yornitj, the masked owl, as my totem. And that's a real honour, obviously. It's also a deep responsibility. It's off to an art gallery this morning. Hello. How you doing? Did you hear that little chuckle? Yeah. All of the artists have been inspired to create works which will help publicise Yornitj and the harm that we know rat poisons are causing. These are priority 3, which means they don't know enough about them to know if they're threatened or not. We've had the most devastating news. The male of this pair that we've known since April 2017 was killed on the road. So we've got 2 youngsters here. They're fully dependent on their food from their parents. Yeah, I spent a number of days just worrying about it. And I decided to try an intervention. I've got some phascogale reference specimens for analysing the pellets. The males do a sexual frenzy and die every year and leave the way free for the females and youngsters to feed. So we get a lot of these picked up and brought in. If I can put this phascogale up on top of that arch, then played back the call of one of the parents coming in with food, just maybe I might fool it into thinking, hey, I've had a food delivery. Shh. Oh. Shh. Shh. Oh, this is just magic. Just amazing that this has worked. Unfortunately, we just can't continue to do this. We're intervening with a priority 3 species, and that's going to need permission. We perhaps should let nature take its course. But having the father hit by a car isn't natural. And what really worries me is that our male may have been coping with rat poisoning, something that we know is contributing to collisions between owls and cars. So we've had the bad news that we're not to feed the youngsters, that this is setting a precedent that might have others going out feeding wildlife. But if we find the bird debilitated on the ground, we're allowed to take it into care. It's possible that the mother will keep being able to feed one. I can't see her managing both. The sound recorder out for the night. We'll have a listen tomorrow, and then we'll monitor over the next week or so, and we'll find out.
So she could be 8 metres up in a tree and hear a little beetle scratching around in the grass. So she's able to hunt at night time, not by using her eyes, but by using her ears.
Phil Payne set this up decades ago and it was to rescue injured birds of prey, and that includes owls. And this has been a place that's been educating the public about our raptors and the conservation of them for all those decades.
If Ivy here could read, she'd actually be able to read the headlines of a newspaper up to 1 kilometre away. So amazing vision.
I'm really worried that we'll lose at least one of these youngsters. They did say on the phone that if I found it debilitated on the ground, I could bring it here.
Yeah.
And I find that strange because we were shown that we could feed it, but that's the decision according to the Environment Act.
Another thing that really is affecting our masked owls and all of our birds of prey is the use of rat bait.
It's very disheartening. 1 in the morning, the first recording I've got, just faintly audible. It's drizzling some rain, not good conditions out there. And that's it for the night. That's one bird, and it's not doing well, is the way I'd interpret it. We've had wet weather, windy, cold weather, and weeks now since the father was killed. But we had a good night where we could just faintly hear calls downstream. And I'm here tonight with the hope that one, maybe both birds, will still be surviving. Oh, it's an hour after dark now, and if the youngsters were here, they should be begging by now. I'll wait till the morning and get the recorder that I've put out tonight and see what happens. They keep coming up with surprises. I was really pessimistic about the chances of the birds, but we did get evidence that she was coming in and saw one of them cough up a reasonable sized pallet. The intervention may well have helped, but she was out feeding them for weeks after they'd lost the father, and there's a chance they made it out into the world with just the foraging of a diligent mother. Here's hoping.
Listen, 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 Nana's got something to say. Listen, 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 she knows there's a better way.
But there are lots of other ways to control the rats before you'd use a poison. Did you grab one of the brochures? And that little cluttering noise is a bird bringing in food. We've got hero organisations all around town that have materials out there, and then they hand out bumper stickers and cards and brochures. And the whole community is now taking on owl-friendly rat control. But why can't the regulators act now that we know the harm these poisons are doing to our wildlife? Look, this has been an emotional few days. Another one of our owls has been clipped by a car. This is one of our original pairs. He was just coming home to roost early in the morning, and picked up on the highway by one of the neighbours. The neighbours all know that we're doing this research and are all doing the right thing with their rat control, and I don't want to jinx things, but I hope the odds are in his favour.
He was touch and go, I think, yeah. Whatever he's hit or banged, he's injured the leg. See how much whiter that is. White shows dents so that you can see the swelling. If he was a victim of rodenticide, he wouldn't have survived this impact.
The x-ray showed it had a stomach full of fur and bone that should have come up as a pallet. That pallet hasn't come up yet. So it's with our wonderful carer, Nancy. Time to go in here, into some warmth. Oh, going to pretend to be dead. It's a depressing thing to be so excited about these birds, get to know them, and then have this happen. We think they mate so strongly for life that if this pair is broken up, she won't stay here, she won't go on to get another mate. So I'm back here to check on how the family's going. We know where their nest is. They've bred 3 times. But when I was here just a week ago, one of the youngsters is still begging. And we've only just found the roost of the female. I'm going to keep an eye on that spout. I'm hoping she's still roosting there. And if everything's going really well, we'll still hear the begging. Yeah, there she is. That's fantastic news. Now that was the juvenile giving his first call. It's still here. It's still asking for food. It's taken this sort of dedication, almost an obsession, to start to discover some of the secrets of this spirit shape changer and make sure that the masked owls are still with us. I want this perfect for you, young Garstone. How good can it be to go back to where it's your home, where you've got a mate waiting for you? His chances are so much better than a bird that's just let go in unknown country. Okay, you do know me, don't you?